All right, good morning, everybody. This is the Derita Matters meeting for March 2024. I am Teresa McDonald. I am a resident of Allen Hills and Derita since 2007. I'm a realtor with Allen Tate. I am on the Planning Commission for the City of Charlotte, Planning Committee at this point, and I'm just going to run through real quick what we cover in these meetings, and then we'll go around with some quick introductions, and then we have a presentation from the NHE, who has a proposal for the Puckett site, which is in downtown Derita. So that's the initial order of operations. Meeting dates for the rest of the year are here. The area that we cover is roughly, of course, the epicenter is here, downtown Derita, and then out from there, the kind of natural boundaries, 77 in the west, 85 roughly in the south, and then Harris Boulevard. So inside that area is what we focus on for these meetings. All right, I think we'll get right to introductions. I do want to recognize a few people first, and if you came have something to add to your introduction, just keep it brief and we can keep it moving. Thank you so much. So the first person I do want to recognize is our County Commissioner, George Dunlap.
Well, good morning, and thank you, Teresa, for that introduction. I guess I'll start off this morning by saying, of course, you all know we just had an election, and I was reelected to another term to serve and represent your community for another 2 years. I don't know how many of you know that I lived in Derita for 32 years, and I moved just up the street to Mallet Creek. So I'm still in the neighborhood on almost a daily basis. I just can't get Derita out of my system. That's where most of my friends are. And to let you know that I represent you, whether you vote for me or not, whether you like me or not, I'm your representative. If there are things that are related to county issues that I can be of assistance, feel free to give me a call. My telephone number is public. It goes directly to my cell phone, 704-942-6831, 704-942-6831. And thank you for the opportunity, Teresa.
Second, I need to unmute. Let me also mention that we do have apologies from Sylvia Cannon this morning. She's on grandma duty. So as busy as ever, but we'll catch up with her probably next month. All right, I'm going to just call on you to introduce yourselves, and then we'll move on to the presentation. I'm going to go first to the folks that I see that are here from the city. Erin Gillespie.
Hi, yep, Erin Gillespie, City of Charlotte, Corridors of Opportunity team.
Thank you for being here. And did I see Aisha?
Yep. Hi, good morning.
Hey, oh, there you are at the top.
Yep. I hope everyone's well. Aisha Sabor, City of Charlotte. I am also on the Corridors of Opportunity team.
Awesome. Thank you. And all right, now let me call on you, Thomas Templeton.
Hey, good morning. Thomas Templeton, a long-time resident of Derita, like 60 years now. I hate to tell that. But anyway, live in the Royal Oaks neighborhood, which for those you don't know, that's bounded by Sugar Creek and Graham Street, essentially right behind Fire Station 22. I've been the neighborhood president in the past, and currently I'm also the treasurer for the Derita Statesville Road organization.
Awesome. Thank you, Thomas. Joe Margolis. Oh, unmute.
Hey, I'm Joe Margolis. I live in the Michaels Landing community, just off of the part of University City Boulevard that used to be Rumpel Road. So on that edge of Derita, heading in the direction of IKEA, right before the I believe the Century Oaks neighborhood or the Great Oaks neighborhood. I've been involved in Derita in the past. Kind of got busy with work. I am currently in between jobs right now and looking, and so just looking to see, looking to get reengaged in the community in the meantime, and hopefully we'll figure out how to keep it going beyond this scope of my unemployed days.
Thanks, Joe. All right, let me see. Mel Renner.
I better unmute. Yes, I serve on the Derita Statesville Road Community Organization. Longtime residents of Derita, former HOA president of the Forest Pond community for some 18 years in a row, and retired from the city of Charlotte as a procurement officer.
Awesome, thank you. Linda Johnson, Charlotte Post in the house.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Teresa, for that. My name is Linda Johnson, and I am with the Charlotte Post newspaper. For you all to know, we are a community newspaper, and we've been in Derita community for 6 years. We moved from South End, and if you're in the area, many of you are our neighbors. Stop by and say hello, and glad to be here this morning with you all. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, if you don't know, they're right on Princess Street. So that is Royal Oaks, close to Princess and North Graham. Jill J. Steph.
Hi, it's Jill Stevenson. I am the HOA president for the Generals Point neighborhood off of Gibbon Road. Been here for, I think, 24 years, 23 years now.
Awesome, thank you. I think I've covered everybody except for our guests from NHE, so just shout out if I've missed you, please, because it could happen. All right, so the next thing that we're going to go to is our guests from NHE Inc, and I will let them introduce themselves and work on changing my settings here so that you can share some slides. Joseph.
Thank you. I appreciate it. My name is Joseph Cass. I'm work for a company called NHE. I'm the development manager there. Some of you have seen me before at this previous meeting. I think it was back in January. And then also we had an evening community meeting via Zoom on a stormy night, and I believe that was late January or February. We wanted to present to you again, some of you for the first time, some of you for the second or third time, some ideas we have about a site that we're working to develop. A little bit about our firm. We are based in Greenville, South Carolina, but we've been very active in the Charlotte market for several years now. We are a multifamily developer and property manager. We have about 10,000 units under management. We have built across the Carolinas. We are very proud of our product and what we build. Our mission and our goal for Charlotte in general is, Charlotte's a rapidly growing market. We just attended a conference in Charlotte talking about growth statistics, and it is growing a lot, and there is a need for housing. And there's a supply and demand to keep housing affordable for everyone. We want to see development and growth. And then specifically for the Derita neighborhood, we've been familiar with it for a few years now, and this site, I think everybody is aware that it feels like a site that should be developed into something that feels more downtown. Everybody speaks of a Derita downtown. I think there is a consensus that there needs to be more density, more walkability. So our goal and our vision would be to bring something that's attractive, that enhances that walkability, that density, that sort of downtown experience. Let me share my screen now. Share. And let's see, do I need to make this into an actual slideshow? I'll do that just in case. There we go. Oh, that's not the one I wanted to start with. So let's start at the beginning. This site is at the corner of Mallard Creek Road and Sugar Creek, West Sugar Creek Road. The three parcels that are part of our development plan are owned by the Puckett family. It includes the building at the corner, and then some, there's a single wide mobile home and a brick house. This is, again, just conceptual. I don't, this is, you'll see in some further slides, this has already begun to shift a little bit, but this is just a nice colorized version to help you kind of imagine what our overall concept would be. It would be a building facing the corner of the parcels, parking in the rear, some generous tree save areas, which is something that the city always likes to see, and we like to as well. This is a new slide, so I think there were some discussions at previous meetings about how close the building was or was not to the road. Both Mallard Creek Road and West Sugar Creek Road are North Carolina DOT roads, which for those of you who are lucky enough to not be familiar with interacting with NCDOT, it can be challenging. DOT wants us to be 53 feet back from West Sugar Creek Road and 32 feet back from Mallard Creek Road. So there will be quite a substantial amount of greenery, new trees, shrubbery planted, those sorts of things. The idea right now, the site doesn't really have sidewalks. It's not particularly walkable. There are curb cuts, places where cars can come in and out, kind of all over the site in sort of random places. The idea would be to limit those curb cuts, make it pedestrian oriented, nice wide sidewalk. This, again, just conceptual. We had our civil engineer just put together kind of a brief idea for a plaza or something that would face the corner. And then some benches along the way with some seating. The checkered pattern was inspired by the actual Puckett's building itself that has that green and white checkered pattern. So this is just an idea of how that building would face that corner of West Sugar Creek Road and Mallard Creek. This is a side profile, again, just to kind of give you a sense of the scale. This is West Sugar Creek Road. The city requires an 8-foot planting strip between the road and the sidewalk. They want an 8-foot sidewalk. And then, as you saw on the previous slide, about 53 feet total. So that would be 8 plus 8 plus 4. That's 20 feet. And then probably another 30 feet to the building. So again, there would be a lot of greenery, a lot of chance for a lot of new plantings. The city requires a certain amount of street trees. Anything we can do to sort of enhance that walkability and pedestrian experience. This is a similar side view of Mallard Creek Road. Again, 8-foot planting strip, 8-foot sidewalk, and then some distance to the building. Part of our architectural and design mantra that we're moving forward with is we do want a corner orientation. That site has a corner orientation currently. We'd like to maintain that. I think it would be a shame if somebody redeveloped it and, gas station or self-storage or something, it didn't really maintain that sort of presentation to the corner. We do want an entrance facing that corner. We've told our architect, look at some, larger square paned windows. We definitely, we've used sort of a blonde brick, some places, other types of brick. I think this one would really call for more of that red brick, that traditional green and white checkered details, and then capturing some color and the font of the existing signage. And then we do want to activate that sidewalk and plaza space. Some kind of benches, planters, landscaping. We want to create that sense of space for that corner and for what is and what will be hopefully the future downtown Derita area. And of course, the street trees and sidewalks. I want to stress these next couple images are really conceptual. We had our architect mock up, 7, 8, 9, 10 different versions. We'd say, try this, try that. These are all just conceptual. We're still probably a year away from closing, and we're probably, it would probably be another 15 months after that of construction. So we're still a ways out from this, and some of the final design decisions. For instance, the color of the gray and the darker gray and the gray, that's, we would hire a designer who would pick out, several different color options. We would play with those. So these are just conceptual, but this is an idea of some things that our architect has put together. Here's another version. It doesn't have the nice watercolored filter over the top, but again, just trying to look at some of the signage, some of the checkered patterns, a plaza kind of facing the road, something along that. This is a version where he put in the red awning. Let me go back. This is the more traditional building with our sign. There's the option of naming. We don't have a final name yet for the development, but that would be an ongoing discussion. So that'll give you a kind of an idea of the size and shape and scope of the development. We're proposing 60 units, 60 apartment units. They would be a mixture of 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, and some 3 bedroom units. We would have the traditional apartment amenities on site, a fitness center, library, computer lab. We usually have a computer room, a community room. The units will have washer and dryer hookups. We have Energy Star appliances, electric vehicle charging, bicycle racks, playground, picnic area. And we have reached out to the folks at the Corridors of Opportunity on other aspects that interact with the site, bus stops, those sorts of things, bike racks. Someone had asked at a previous meeting about crime. That was like something that came up. We have never had an issue with crime at any of our properties. This is one that's not too far away. It's on the corner of Sharon Amity and Shamrock. And it's been open now for 3 years, and we've had 4 incidents that we looked up on the City of Charlotte Open Data Portal. 2 of them were identity theft. I don't have a lot of detail on the others. One was reported as a motor vehicle theft. I don't have a lot of detail, but we don't have an issue with crime. That was something that was brought up, and somebody was saying that I don't know, apartments are crime ridden. This is pretty standard. If you go to the City Charlotte Open Data Portal and you look around some of the neighborhoods, I mean, there are always incidents of something, but we don't have an issue. We are both a property management company and a development company. So we own it and we manage it. We own these for 15, 20 years minimum. Usually we refinance them and manage them for another 15, 20 years after that, long after all of us have left this earth probably, and I'm retired. We will still own and operate this. So we want it to be, a multi-million-dollar asset. These are $20 million assets for us that we want to perform. So we have every incentive to run them as well as we can. This is another completed project in Greenville, South Carolina. This just gives you an example of, this is very much the flavor of what the inside of this building will look like. This is the community room. This is a property in Spartanburg. This is the fitness room. This is pretty much what all of our apartment interiors look like. Very nice finished shaker cabinets, that sort of thing. This is another property in Spartanburg, corridor with an elevator. Just gives you an idea. One of our libraries, computer room. As I mentioned, it's a 60 apartment unit development. It will be affordable housing, mixture of incomes. Residents have to earn 2.5 times the monthly rent. Some people, I should back up, when you say the word affordable housing, that means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. That word contains a lot. This is what our version of it is. This is what we are proposing and what we do for a living. So we do basically workforce housing. And there is a mixture of income levels and affordability that make this possible. It's privately owned, privately managed for us, but we try to set the rents so that they're still affordable to regular working people. These are our projected rents. This is our average rent. They would range from, we have a few units of some lower targeted incomes, and then we have units going up to $1,400 a month. About a quarter of the units will be like truly deeply affordable. About a fifth of the units will be, moderately affordable, $800 to $1,100, almost $1,200. And then about half of the units will be for folks at 70% of area median income. And that's going to be units rented from $1,100 to almost $1,400 a month. So again, kind of a mixture of income ranges for the folks that live there.
Oh my God. Did you throw up again?
I'm sorry? Did somebody? I'm not sure what that, I think I heard a comment, I'm not sure. So going into, a little bit more detail, I'm happy to talk more about this if anybody's really interested. But there's the way we finance a lot of this is by area median income. It sets aside folks at certain income levels, so $35,000 a year income, $71,000 a year income, and you find folks at those income levels, say a teacher starting in Mecklenburg County, teacher with 10 years experience, police officer salaries, and then those folks end up renting those units at those different levels of workforce housing. Again, these are slides from the two previous community meetings. I'm more than happy to talk more about it, but it can, it's a lot to go through. As I mentioned, we're going to own this long term. We manage it ourselves. It's easily a $20 million asset. We will serve people at a mixture of income levels, $20,000 of household income up to $70,000 in household income. And the rents will be anywhere from $500 to $1,400 a month. And the residents do have to earn 2.5 times that monthly rent. So if you're renting a unit at $1,400 a month, then you have to earn over $3,000 a month in income. As I mentioned, our goal is to enhance the walkability of the pedestrian experience. We want to jumpstart that revitalization of downtown Derita and encourage more redevelopment in that sort of urban walkability density direction. And we believe our development's going to bring, enhanced safety, security, site lighting, visibility. We have security cameras. We will have street lights. And we're just generally going to enhance that community feeling. And I think those are most of these slides. These were slides from some of the previous community meetings, but I'll stop there. And if anybody has any questions, maybe that's a more productive use of everybody's time. Thank you so much for letting me come back in front of this group and present once again.
Thank you so much, Joseph. I'm gonna I have two burning questions and then we'll see what everybody else has. And I'm hoping that our two corridors of opportunity folks from the planning department can help me. understand this, but my biggest issue is NCDOT again. Why is NCDOT requiring these kind of setbacks on roads like this in a downtown kind of area? It's self-defeating, and excuse me, I just get hot under the collar when this comes up every time. And what can we do? Because it's just totally wrong. And, you know, the developer's doing the best that they can, and they have the right instincts, and they're hung up because of the requirements for these huge setbacks. Those roads shouldn't ever be widened. And as far as I know, they're never going to be widened. So why are we wasting all this space? Firstly, and I realize they will make it look nice, but it's just, if you know anything at all about downtown areas and urban design, it's not quite the right thing when you're looking at an area like that. So that's my first point. And hopefully Erin or Aisha, or maybe we need
Yeah.
more the urban design folks on here. That's really my first and biggest issue with this. Otherwise, I think the plan looks great. It's going to be a great improvement in our downtown area. Thanks.
Teresa, I'll jump in from the city and corridors perspective. I certainly hear you, and I don't think anyone would disagree that with your sentiments and the frustrations. So, you know, some of it is just, we're not going to be able to change those state policies overnight, or, you know, with one development. A couple of the, I think, and that's something that I think I also deal with constantly as we're, you know, implementing corridor projects in this area. One opportunity that we saw was really from the January meeting when Joseph's team was here presenting. We followed up directly with him to make sure that we're proactively engaging when it comes to coordinating with the city's transportation mobility projects. So that large raise, the federal grant that we received to do a number of projects in this area, received last year. The work really it's, you know, a multi-year effort that will begin, you know, with like design work this year and ongoing. So a part of it is building a mobility hub on Mallard Creek, and some other kind of improvements that, you know, we realized as the NHE team is going through their development process, they're going to be getting feedback from NCDOT that may not kind of incorporate or understand what we are also improving and putting in. So we're going to stay in ongoing communication. We shared the you know, overall project plans with the NHE team. As they get developed, we'll continue to meet with them and make sure they understand what's going in. So there's not, you know, if we're putting in a bus stop, they're not then getting required to put another bus stop at the same spot. It wouldn't make sense. And so those are some of the things that we're going to make sure we're, just being really proactive and try to mitigate any kind of miscommunication or really missed opportunities too, because I think what they can bring is really kind of more of that, the atmosphere and pedestrian experience that I know that kind of we're all looking to build up here at this, the downtown Derita district. So long term, you know, we continue to push and advocate as best we can. And, you know, I think you'll see even in, you know, the the comp plan and the UDO, you know, all of our policy is really about building up this, you know, downtown Derita district. And so there's, you know, we'll continue to just push as much as we can. But hopefully, you know, you're seeing that reflected in, you know, the city's policy that we do control.
Thanks, Erin. All right. I'm sure there are other people with questions, opinions, so on. Mel, you're unmuted. Are you ready? Are you wanting to add?
Sure, I've always got an opinion to share. Well, you know, my thought is, you know, all these amenities are great for the residents, but they do nothing for, you know, downtown community interaction. I think the plaza entrance is interesting, you know, a couple of benches, you know, to kind of address that setback you're complaining about, Teresa. I think it would be better if that corner was more of a patio with, you know, tables or something, you know, something on it to entice interaction of the downtown community. You know, otherwise it's just a door into a resident complex that looks cold and uninviting for the general, you know, city vibe that I think Derita should have, you know. So that's kind of my first take on this. Whatever.
I appreciate those comments. We are looking at ways to, you know, this is not, I don't like to promise things, but, you know, just in the speculative, you know, we're looking at things, you know, planters, you know, could there be some kind of, you know, statue, some sort of artwork, you know, what are we doing for benches? You know, what can we do to create a corner there? And what can we do with the facade and the storefront glass, in terms of, you know, the awnings and plantings that sort of, you know, create some of that. So I take that comment, and I don't have a specific design response for you at this time, but we are absolutely exploring ways to create more of a corner, at that corner.
And this is Robinson. I work with Joseph. I'm the development director for NHE. So yeah, I echo what Joseph just said. I mean, and immediately, Mel, when you were speaking, I was thinking about a project we did in Spartanburg, South Carolina, where we did a public art project on a public plaza where, you know, like you're saying, it was a corner that was important to the community, and it was really not space that necessarily we were using for the project. So we kind of put it back to the community. They installed a statue and in a public art project and some benches that became almost a community amenity. Although it's on our site, it's still something that the community was able to do to put their stamp on our project.
That sounds awesome. If you wouldn't mind sharing some of that later, you can email me if there are links, something that we can look at. I guess on the bright side, if the buildings aren't all the way up to the road, there is some flexibility for creating some community space that is off the road. So even my initial reaction against the setbacks is kind of cooling it just a little bit, with the idea that it can be more, you know, just allows a little more flexibility for integrating the space into the community, or the new development into the community. I see we have Jamila Freelane on the call. She is with Neighborhood and Business Services, if I'm not mistaken, community engagement. You may have missed the whole presentation, but I just wanted to acknowledge you, Jamila. Okay. All right, anybody else? Thomas, you have your hand raised.
Yeah, I mean, you know, like Mel, I've always got an opinion about things. You know, first of all, you know, when we're talking about this building, you know, I don't think we really emphasize the fact this thing will be 4 stories tall. So, you know, like we're talking about here, it's going to have a huge, for lack of a better word, a heavy footprint for that whole corner, and in fact the whole community when it gets built. And is like Mel was alluding to, you know, I think for a lot of us, when we look at something that's going to be that impactful, that it truly tries to become part of the community. And while I'm appreciative of some of the designs I've seen here, like the storefront part, what would be great is if it was truly a storefront, if it was truly some sort of retail space, that destination for people outside of that building to come to enjoy that, what it looks like they're going to have to create as far as a space out in front of the building, a patio area, that sort of thing. That if it was something that integrated well into the community, that, like I said, people from outside of the building will enjoy as well. Second thing I will say, that when you're talking about that, one thing I noted was that the building colors you talked about, I'd appreciate it if it was something other than some shade of gray on the outside. I'll put my vote in for that right now.
Absolutely. Those are temporary colors. We just did one over off of Greer Road, and you know, the first version of it was dark red brick, black and white, and then we went to a blonde brick with more of a like a blue tone. So it absolutely will that will change.
Okay. Well, I thought it probably, you talked about how it's probably a year out before you had a complete set of things. So appreciate that. And then secondly, to your point there, Teresa, I'm going to once again express my frustration along with yours with the NCDOT. The NCDOT for this whole area, not just even beforehand, but in just recent history, for those who don't know, let me just give you some examples of the Graham Street Extension project. Awful. Took them far too long for that project and impacted this community in awful ways. Secondly, more recently for my neighborhood, the decisions the NCDOT took led to the loss of 20 mature trees in my neighborhood, which I don't think the city can afford anymore. And then secondly, and ongoing right now, is if you go down Sugar Creek Road, you know the awful impact that continuing project. Now, I don't know if it's NCDOT or City of Charlotte there, but that project there on Sugar Creek Road, there at the creek bottom, is just ongoing perpetually for months and months and months, and never seems to have very much of a in the way of advancement going on. So that's just, now that I've blown off that steam, I'll give it back to you, Teresa.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a frustration all over the city with the different priorities, and between NCDOT and the people who live on near and on their roads. All right, has anybody else got anything for Joseph or Robinson? We'll try to get some of those graphics, or maybe just a link to some of these other projects that we can take a look at. But I just thought of another positive for this must be my coping style to try to find the silver lining. Another positive for the setbacks is that 4-story won't kind of loom, you know, it'll be set back a little bit from the road, and it's well set back. It's not like it's going to be looming on single family houses either. It's a downtown area. Anyway, does anybody else have any questions, comments on this? Joseph, here you go. I knew you must have something.
I have one quick question. I'm sorry, I just got my license renewed, so I was out of the loop for a minute. So I just have one theoretical question, because it's probably not going to happen, but just in terms of the required setbacks, did the required number of setbacks impact the number of units that you were able to build, Joseph? Like, could you get more units on that property if you had not had to set the structure back so far from the road?
I would say no, not really. I mean, we're limited by the height. I can tell you from our point of view, just not this site specifically, but in general, we like to build as many units as we can. I mean, that's just a function of the economics of scale for developing apartments. I mean, the more you can build, the more cost efficient. So we are motivated to build. I think your question is, in a sense, you wanted more units, I think is what you're saying. You know, we're limited by the height. Every district in Charlotte has a height limit. We are limited by the tree save area. You have to save, and we do want to. It's not a bad thing. We like to save trees, but you are required to save a certain amount of trees. You're required to have a certain amount of open space. You're required to have a certain amount of parking, and you know, this is not the kind of site that I think you would build a structured parking garage. So there's only so much surface parking. So by the time you lay out the surface parking, by the time you lay out the tree save area, the open space area, all of which are great things. I mean, we like open space, we like tree save, and you're limited by the height, then you are sort of penned in. And usually one of the first things we do when we approach a site is that we do a density study with our team. I'm not the one to do that, but our architectural and engineering team will go through some iterations and basically say this is kind of the maximum, regardless of zoning. I mean, sometimes zoning will say you can build, you know, unlimited units. But the reality of the amount of units you can build, to answer your question really directly, the setbacks did not necessarily impact the density because we actually had the building shifted more up towards the roads. And we went through a sketch plan process with planning, and they said, actually, you need those bigger setbacks, you know, shift your building back. And it did not impact the development. At least we don't believe it has thus far. I think we can fit what we need to fit in terms of open space, tree save, parking, et cetera. So not a direct impact is the answer to your question.
Yeah. And one other quick question, this just may have already been answered because I think Teresa addressed it some. Is this something that there's nothing, so just to clarify, this is probably a yes or no question. This is in terms of this is probably going to be a missed opportunity for closer setbacks. It's going to be a missed opportunity on this particular project because it's just too late in your process, and then just the laws aren't going to change, and it might be something to start working with Representative Cunningham and Representative Genetian on at the state level, since there is that kind of where things are. That can be a simple yes or no question, because I know people are probably looking to move on or have their questions too.
From our perspective, there's listen, if you want someone to complain about NCDOT, let's book a 4-hour session. I'm happy to jump on that. But yes, we love when we have a CDOT road, a Charlotte DOT road that's not an NCDOT road. Charlotte has been much easier to work with. They're faster to work with. They're more transparent. It's tough. You know, I think there are pros and cons. I mean, yes, there are reasons why we would want the building closer to the road. I think there are reasons, you know, like the height versus the road, finding that green space, lots of shrubbery, lots of shade. I mean, there's pros and cons. We're going to try to activate that corner in our design process. So, but other than that, I'll hand it back to the group to maybe respond.
Okay, I wanted to just add, because I forgot earlier, and I think Thomas brought it up, just about having that possibility of a commercial space there. Is it at all possible to maintain some kind of flexibility around that? Or is that just adding to the cost and complexity?
It would be difficult for us to work that into how we are proposing to develop the site and our financing. We will continue to look at it. I don't want to overpromise or anything like that. This is not the commercial space. I don't think is quite there it introduces, then you have parking, are you parking in the back? Are you parking in the front? I think there's insurance. There's a lot of complicated things that come with that. We are still early in this process. I won't say anything is definitely not under consideration, but we are not likely to go that direction for true commercial space. I think our intent would probably be twofold. One, have space that looks commercial and have it be inviting. I think that you can add a lot to a space that looks like that feels front facing. And I think two, and this is maybe not the answer everybody wants, but I think if you can activate that downtown corner and make it feel like the kind of place where people want to walk and get a coffee, right now, to be honest, those two shopping centers, they are traditional car shopping centers. I mean, maybe there is some pedestrian traffic, but I think mostly people are pulling in with their cars and parking and frequenting those shopping centers. And I think you kind of have to have a certain momentum of development and a certain look to start to create that atmosphere where people will get out on their feet and walk and visit a coffee shop, visit those kinds of things. We will continue to explore that. And if market conditions improved greatly in terms of, the Fed interest rate and stuff like, there's always, we're still a long ways out, but we don't typically pursue mixed use. And this may not be the site where that makes as much sense as it would on, say, North Tryon or South End or something like that. But I do take that concern as very, I've heard that at several meetings, and we are absolutely keeping that as a top line concern from the neighborhood.
Thank you.
Can I ask another question? This would be in relation to that, to the corridors of opportunity person. Forgive me, I forget your name, and I apologize for that. Are there any programs built into the corridors of opportunity that could be like additional funding to a project like this to help, to add like a community activation place, so that commercial real estate space could be funded as part of this? I know housing is the real priority in getting people housed. So, but are there, as far as a corridor of opportunity, people who live there want places to go? Are there any kind of funds inside of Charlotte that could help Joseph maybe think about the being able to make it economical for his business?
Thanks, Joe. Our corridors people had to leave to another meeting, but there are placemaking grants and business grants and that kind of thing. I don't know that it helps solve the problem that Joseph really has, which is, it becomes complicated financing wise for, once you start with mixed use, etc. So, but yeah, anything that we can add, like Robinson mentioned earlier, where and maybe you missed that, but they have a development in Spartanburg where they did involve the community in some of that space. So that's one of the positives of having the big setback, is that there is potentially some space there that we can activate in a partnership with the developer, the owner at that point of the apartment complex.
I found a news article with that. Let me share my screen real quick. This is, again, I don't want to overpromise or anything like that, but this is just an example of what we've done in Spartanburg with another corner that we had. I was looking online. I thought we had photos on our website, but so the building behind that, we built that building that has a kind of a similar glass storefront sort of front-facing corner, and then this is the plaza in front of it. Now this is quite a lot. This is benches. This is a statue. It has a light. But there are ways to make a corner stand out that are interesting. So I was looking online trying to find that, but finally found a photo. Anyway, that's just a quick example.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great example. So thank you very much for that.
What's the
I
name of
just
that
had
property?
one more question, which of course Joseph brought up, was the parking requirements. I would hope that there'd be some flexibility around that too, given that it's kind of a downtown, there's going to be that mobility hub. You know, I don't know what you can do with that information. You obviously have to deal with whatever the law says right now. But what are the parking requirements? Is it 1.5 per unit?
No, we're going to park it more like 1 per unit, which is, I think, you know, for the apartment industry right now, that's pretty low. I mean, we're trying to go light on the parking. Just for everyone on the call, there's a movement in urban design, you know, away from parking. And obviously you can't get rid of all of it. People have cars. I have a car. Everybody has a car. So you do have to have places for people to park their car. I mean, it's not Manhattan, you know, but finding that balance where you're not over parking it, where you don't have too much asphalt. So we're going at 1 parking space per car.
Okay.
I think the code, the newest code, the newest UDO allows you to go less than that. But again, then you start to bump up against reality of everybody who has an apartment is going to have a car. You do want to make sure you have enough parking.
Yeah, I understand that. I was just curious on that front as well. All right. Well, thank you so much, guys. And I really do appreciate the you know, it's obvious to me that you've taken input from the community and studied the site. You know, and it's getting better all the time. I'm not a person who's opposed to tall buildings or housing or density. So, you know, Thomas has something to add.
Oh yeah, just one more thing to put a bug in y'all's ear. First of all, thank you all for coming and sharing this again. I appreciate you telling us how you're developing the plans and things like that. That's a lot more than a lot of developers would. Secondly, just to put a bug in your ear, like I said, one of the most interesting ideas I've heard out of this group before was that changing the intersection there at Mallard Creek and Sugar Creek to a roundabout. Now, I realize we're talking about the NCDOT again. They're not known for their innovative thinking. However, if you're having discussions with them, maybe throw that out to some of them. Maybe they'd bite. Who the hell knows? But anyway, it's something we'd love to see, I think, because obviously it would slow down, you know, it would be an improvement, obviously, over the 3-way intersection that's there.
Yeah. Good point.
I will mention that anytime we speak with them. I think that would also be, you know, the community and, you know, politicians. I think you'd kind of need a little bit of, it's not impossible for sure. I mean, people put roundabouts on NCDOT roads. That's definitely a thing that can happen. I think, you know, if this group can push for that, I think if we mention it every time, if the corridors of opportunity folks mention it, you know, I don't know enough about that process, but that would be great. I think that would be a big visual enhancement to that corner.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah, I think we all agree on that. Okay, well, thanks, guys. Thank you very much. And this will be, we are recording it, so it'll be on YouTube and you guys can share it and we can get more people caught up on the details here. But I appreciate you guys. I just wanted to add too that the NHE is not obliged in any way to do this process. They're not dependent on a rezoning. So again, we really appreciate you taking the time to present and hear us out. Thank you.
Thank you for making the time. We appreciate it. It's a collaborative process and we will take these comments and we're going to keep working at it. Thank you for having us. I'm going to jump off. I've actually got to run out to a construction site, but
Okay.
thank you again for having us.
Thank you. Thanks very much. Okay, guys, I wanted to just go back to Jamila. Are you just listening in, or you want to introduce yourself and let us know what you're up to? I don't know if your audio is working now. Jamila Freelane. I know she had some trouble with her audio, so I'll let you know if I see anything from the chat. She is from the city, from neighborhood and business services, community engagement. So always good to hear what her updates might be if there's anything. The audio is still not working. So all right, we'll go back to my few updates. I don't have a lot. We have obviously the biggest thing going on right now in our area is this Puckett's site. So let me just see what other updates I have. Oh, big news is that our Derita sign, if you're not familiar, and I know everybody on the call probably is, but we had to pivot from the mural on the ice building to more of a Derita place marking sign on the top of the fire tower, the old fire tower, which is right next to the building that was the original Derita Volunteer Fire Department building. That's right at Gibbon and Sugar Creek. So that is actually going to be installed on March 24th. Here's some renderings to give you an idea. We don't have Hashim on the call. He's been so busy. And I put a link here to his newsletter, but please go and check out his newsletter, subscribe, throw him a few dollars for that, because he's really working very hard to bring another whole energy to downtown Dorado with just all the work that he does with events at his studio space on Gibbon Road, as well as leading up these projects, which take a lot of hours, and it's volunteer hours. Anyway, he has converted the community, the snowflakes that folks made, that we had a few sessions, he's cut them out, and you can read about the process, but it's a process of digitizing the design and then having the machine cut it out of this material that is going to hang like this, like a tapestry behind the sign. And then the boards just have some street names, some neighborhood names, parts of Derita, as well as some of the words that bubble to the top. So there'll be two signs. There's the vertical sign and then the horizontal sign. This horizontal sign will have some of the words that bubbled up, also from the community engagement, where people were asked to provide, words that came to mind when thinking about Derita. So that will be very exciting. It will be very visible. It's going to be, I think it's really going to bring an interesting impact to our downtown area, and we'll plan some kind of celebration probably later in the spring. Got a few details to sort out, but we're hoping to be able to do something kind of on the site, and maybe with Derita Dairy Bar and some picnic tables, just have an event when we can be sure that the weather is a little more, less cold and rainy. Anyway, so that is good news. That is coming soon. So look for that to be installed before our next meeting, and I'll try to cover the process, or Hashim certainly will, and we'll have some pictures, and you can look out for that place marker, which, as it turns out, is a great, it's way better than a mural on North Graham Street as far as marking Derita. And since we lost our tiny little sign that did mark Derita, that was right there at the corner of Gibbon and West Sugar Creek, this is, you know, going to replace that in a big way. So check that out. The link is there to Hashim's newsletter and his website, and you can see some more about the process there. And look out for that. Another event coming up that I just wanted to help publicize is Champion House of Care. If you know from our meetings at Derita Presbyterian, Jeanette Kennard is with Champion House of Care. It's a nonprofit day support program, and she does a lot of good work, and they are now partnering with the church for a community resource center. I'm not 100% sure about the details of what that involves, but they're doing a soft opening on Saturday. So if somebody can check that out and report back to us. I'm not sure I can make it, but if anybody else can, that would be great. Otherwise, we'll get the details from them for next month's meeting. Of course, the budget process is still ongoing with the city and the county. All these links are still here. You can provide your input. There are listening sessions. You can sign up to speak at the budget public hearing, which will be in May. That's for city council, and then the county has their process. So I just kept that slide in there because this is still ongoing. This will be the budget for next fiscal year. So get involved and let the city know they want to hear from us, and they have all these different ways for you to provide input. So check out that slide when you get them. Rezonings, I didn't update this slide. Some of these have been approved, and I'll probably just keep the slide as is because you know, as things are approved, it still takes sometimes years before we see actual movement or you know, construction clearing and construction starting. So this will just be a reminder that we saw them through the process. There's a couple coming up for decisions still. This one was withdrawn. It's 11 acres at Old Statesville and Harris Boulevard. I'm not sure what's happening there. These are all approved and all the details are here. I'm not going to go into it. Most of them don't have, we've either covered them in previous meetings and they're just on the list as approved recently. This is the only one that is coming up for a decision, an actual council vote that is back off of Racine. It's sort of Allen Hills, but it's not connected to Allen Hills. It's off Racine, sort of behind opposite Food Line off North Graham. So over the railroad tracks and back there's a little 2-acre parcel between like some industrial space, industrial zoning and single family. And so they're proposing to put a small mix of duplexes and triplexes in there. I think they've revised to 10 units at this point, so it's also not an earth-shattering change to anything. Probably a pretty good transition between single family and industrial. And these were all approved. Construction construction takes years, so all these neighborhoods are still pretty much still under construction. I had one more little update. Oh, they have actually started, and probably there's other construction that's been ongoing. I just don't walk around there. But this is the Greenway, 2 miles of Greenway here. This is Nevin Park, and Ribbon Walk is over here. It's not, it's a little bit off the page, but this greenway is under construction. I took these pictures in Ribbon Walk, and this, you can see the clearing that has started for the greenway. It's all along the sewer right of way. You know, it's already land that is set aside for sewer that runs there. So it's a very good use to add greenway along that. And this is a stretch that goes up, that's Nevin Road in the distance there, and then it will go. I'm not sure what's happening at Nevin Road. I have to check the plans. It looks like you come out and you'll have to cross Nevin Road to get to the greenway on the other side, and then make your way to Allen Hills Park. And unfortunately, all of that is off this picture here that I grabbed from their presentation. So anyway, this is actively under construction, and soon we will have 2 miles of greenway, which is awesome. Greenways, if you don't know, they're a highly sought after amenity, and definitely add to quality of life and property values, all of those things. I put a bigger version of that slide here, but the section that I'm talking about is still not on the slide, but it's a 2 mile piece. This is Statesville Ave, and this is Keith Drive here, and this is Nevin Park and Ribbon Walk. So look forward to that. There are lots of wooded trails in Ribbon Walk that are wonderful. If you don't know them, or if you want to learn about them, let me know and I'll be glad to walk. I've been walking through there for as long as I've been in Derita, actually before, because it's a really special park, the nature preserve with the wooded trails, but they're not really accessible. So the greenway will be more of a multi-use paved path that is more accessible. And I think that's really all that I have. Does anybody else? Oh, I did have one more business thing. I don't know if there's been any updates to these spaces on Gibbon Road, but I kept the slide in here. I haven't had a chance since I was traveling in February. I haven't had a chance to see if there's new tenants over there. This is next to the gas station, but it's been nicely renovated. It looks much better. Coming soon to that site, that was Wellpath. Before that, it was a players storage building for players who have their shop on North Graham. Is this business called Moulin Bouge, which I really like. I like the name. They don't have a lot of information yet. I don't know if they've got vendors or service providers in there yet, but the idea is that it is kind of small spaces for different kinds of services. They mention fitness classes, gym suite, infrared sauna suite, their bouge bar. I'm assuming that's going to be juices. It's health and aesthetic and wellness exclusively. So I'm excited to see that. That's a new use for this building, and hopefully will bring some people and activity, and yeah, we'll keep an eye on that. Yes.
Can I ask a question? And you may have covered this before or in another meeting, but I missed it somehow. Do we know what's being built on Gibbon Road?
Yes. I know what you're asking about.
Okay, yes. Do we know what that?
Gibbon, across from Harrison Trace.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, so that's close to Gibbon and Nevin Road. There's a big
Yes.
parcel there. It's storage. There are storage buildings, and I also haven't driven by to see exactly how far things have come along there. But yeah, we were able to find the permits and so on. It's a big self-storage company out of Texas building over there.
All right, more storage. Good.
Yeah, not the best.
Great, just what we need.
Yeah, it's not the best idea, but
This is why we can't have nice things.
yeah, it is zoned industrial, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, it's probably gonna look better than the scrapyard at the corner of Gibbon and Nevin. So hopefully it will bring up the tone of the neighborhood just because of new buildings and new management, and that site being under some kind of management as opposed to a vacant mud pit. So here I am again looking on the bright side. But yeah, that's it. It is storage, and maybe I'll make a slide for that with all that information. Have they started? Are buildings starting to come up, Jill?
Not buildings. It's just, but there's been a lot of
Yes.
people there and clearing the land and getting it ready. But I don't think anything's actually being built yet.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't know really what it's gonna look like. We have a variety of the ways that like Morningstar storage looks like. Some I don't know what it's really gonna look like because it's not a company that I know, but I'll try to
Like
see
you
if they'll
said, it
share with
can't
us.
look any worse than what's on the corner of Gibbon and Nevin currently.
Exactly. So,
Oh, be careful what you say.
no, I mean, the point is they paid a good chunk of money for that land, this company that is putting storage buildings there. And just like Joseph Cass, they have a lot of money invested and they're not going to just let it go to crap. The problem we have is, long-term owners that don't care because they acquired the land decades ago. And they don't care to put anything new or invest much, and they just let it go to, did I say crap before? I'm sure I didn't mean that.
Oh, just a slip.
But yeah, it's at least it's new. It's gonna be under management. It should look better, but yeah, it's not a great use for right there. I would like to see more.
Well, I
One
was
thing-
concerned it was more apartments and more, that would mean more cars on the road. So I'm at least glad it's not more apartments.
Yeah, see, we're not going to agree on that. But yeah, it will be new buildings under, sensible management, at least, for the next 20 years, which, as things age, they always kind of become a challenge.
Well, Teresa, two things I'll say about that place is that, back in the past, it was that piece of land was looked on as doing something because the light rail or the whatever it was going to, it goes right by it. So that was supposed to be land that was supposed to be incorporated or done something with in cooperation with that.
Yes.
Back in the day. And of course, I don't know when we'll ever see a train come down those tracks for commuters. But anyway, the other thing I'll say specifically about the construction going on that site is I noticed as driving along Gibbon Road,
Yes.
that it looks like where they leave Gibbon Road to access that site, it looks like the pavement on Gibbon Road is starting to wear down.
Okay.
Right there on the edge, and it's soon going to invade, I think, into the actual travel lane pretty soon.
Yeah, I was
If they
going to
don't do
bring that
something
up.
about it.
I was going to bring that up as well. It looks like if you were to, accidentally run off the road a little bit right there, that you could do significant damage to your vehicle.
Yeah, keep it between the ditches, people. But yeah, I will, I don't know, you know, they will have multiple city and whatever inspectors through the whole process. So I would hope that somebody is onto them about that already. Can everybody see Polaris now? Or are you still looking at slides? Where I'm sharing my screen. You can see
Yes.
Polaris?
Yeah, I see the Polaris.
Polaris.
Yeah, so I've highlighted the site that we're talking about, and yes, it is an industrial zoning, so they did not need any kind of rezoning for that use right there. And yeah, it remains to be seen where the light rail, or not light rail, but where the rail station would be along this, you know, that's all still under study again. And I'm not even clear where it was proposed before in the previous plan for the red line. So, but yeah, you know, we're just stuck dealing with, you know, the zoning and the regulations that we have right now, even though most of us can see that it should have to change, especially if we're going to put a rail station anywhere in this area here.
And I think one of the alternatives they were talking about is someplace close to where Derita Baptist Church, or what used to be Derita Baptist Church, is today as well, because that backs up right to the rail as well.
Yes, yeah, exactly. So this is Derita Baptist, or was over here. There's two different congregations now in that church. Maybe Mel knows more, I don't know, because do you guys still have your community meetings in that church, Mel? Forest Pond? Oh, you're muted. You'll have to unmute.
No, that hasn't happened for a couple of years, Teresa.
Okay. But they have a daycare there now as well. But yeah, they have such a prime site there with a lot of wasted land. Again, another corner that really needs something better on it, which slowly but surely the wheels are turning in all the different places, including churches that really want to add housing, because we have several churches here in downtown Derita with land that is really ripe for something. If you could picture what they're proposing at Puckett site, should probably be on this corner too. But that's just my opinion, and don't
Well, we lost a
Put me
church
on
altogether down on the intersection with
yes,
the Graham, and I'm
right.
satisfied the remaining property that exists on that corner will ultimately become something other than apartments.
Yes, that's and here we can see, I think this must be the new footprint of the apartment building. I don't know if that's up to date, or this is Cole. It could still be the footprint of Cole Memorial actually, but yeah, this site here eventually. But yeah, thanks for that question, Joel. I'll try to remember to make a slide about that, because that is under construction. We'll have questions about that. So, but it's a here's the UTEX, ESS UTEX. Actually this is Utah. So maybe it's a Utah and Texas company, but I did look it up before, and it is storage of some kind. And here you can see, another heartbreaking story. The family that owned this land let it go for $845, and without doing a thing, that new owner turned around and sold that land for $2.5 million. So please, folks, if you know people who own land, have them consult a realtor who knows what they're doing, so that they're not giving away land like this. Anyway, that's just another thought that came to my mind, because this shocked me. It was not advertised ever. It was not marketed ever when the family was selling the land. And so, you know, somebody got a great deal and they were able to turn around and triple their money. To me, that's unbelievable. Anyway, that's that side. Anybody got any other questions or comments or updates? Thomas?
As always with me.
Yes.
Well, one I'm hoping to end on a little more of a bright note. I would like to know if you found out anything, or perhaps if Mr. Dunlap is still on the online. Is any of the plans or the future thing about the Graham Street Park that's supposed to be on the edge of my neighborhood at Royal Oaks?
Yeah.
Because I believe in last month's meeting, Sylvia said they'd actually hopefully been able to, the county has now been able to acquire that one little key cutout piece of land there from the, or is in the process of acquiring it. But I'm hopeful not only that, but I'm hoping somebody in the county is looking at the land adjacent to it so that maybe they could even expand that park some more, because the Ratcliffes, all they've done in the past few decades is just clear cut that land.
Right.
And I would love to know what the plan is for that park, what amenities it might have. Do we get any input to what might go in there? That sort of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, and it will take a while, but they will have a process to involve the community on this park and the other parks around. This hasn't closed yet. If the county is purchasing this, we have heard that it is in the process of being purchased. It hasn't closed yet. It still shows as the previous owner, but the county has a site, and I have it in my slides, where you can follow along, you know, when this kind of thing will come up. But yeah, they've been on a buying spree. I want to say they have bought, and I shouldn't quote it because I do not remember, but a few hundred acres in the last couple of years the county has bought for parks. So
well,
yeah.
as I say, you know, that not just that little missing piece there that's so obvious, but also just to the north of that green space, that's nothing now. That's nothing but clear cut land from behind the food line there. So, you know, it perfectly feasible that they could expand on that park if they so desired, and we'd have a really good sized area for a park.
Right. Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know what plans they have, but yeah, that, as you say, that is the Ratcliffe family who, or corporation, or whatever the entity is that owns all of this, pretty much. And I think they own the players. They own this piece over here at Graham and North Graham and West Sugar Creek as well. So yeah, the county is actively, you know, buying, and certainly they have bought a lot of land. But you know, it's a big county, so you know they have to make sure that they try to spread the money around, I guess, and the parks.
Teresa,
Yes.
while you're on this slide, if you bump up there where Walgreens is,
Yes.
I just want to mention that lot to the right of Walgreens is becoming a city dump again. It's been turned into code enforcement in the past, but you know, I know there's a for sale sign there. I think Sylvia may have.
Yeah, just keep doing it, folks. Anything you see, just keep calling it into 311, because you know that's really the only thing we can do. until something better, some better use comes to that piece of property there. But yeah, I do expect some stuff to start happening along some of these huge swaths of vacant land here. They've all changed hands recently. So we'll keep an eye on that as well. And that was the other thing, Mel. I do want to take you up on walking back here.
Oh, absolutely.
In
Yeah, I
this
can give
area.
you.
So if anybody wants to join us, let us know. We'll try to pick a day and we can just kind of explore back here behind Mel's house, this area, because there is an old railroad bed. It's pretty interesting, and Mel can tell us all about it. And it will help us when the time comes. Hopefully we have a developer that's willing to be as transparent and willing to work with us as NHE has been. But when the time comes to develop this, they also will not need a rezoning. It is pretty much already zoned for multifamily. So I did talk to the current owner. It's Kinger Homes is the company that owns this piece. Somebody else owns this here. And that kind of connects these two big pieces. So we've got 3 different owners, but between them, this is many acres of land undeveloped at this point, which we expect will be developed. And something like this project at Puckett's is gonna kind of set the tone and the standard and so on for hopefully
I know
all of this.
I know a good bit about this property, as Teresa is related, that, and I'll mention again, a significant portion of it is heavily wooded down on the lower end. It's kind of a steep embankment, but it's all a major sewer easement. But in the combination of the abandoned railroad bed, it would, as Teresa, as you mentioned before, it would make an awesome greenway.
Oh yeah, and that's something you can see if I go to this view, connecting all of that to this big purchase that the county made for this big park. And this here is already dedicated for greenway. All of this along here, which is Morris Estates property. And so there's just a few little gaps, and of course getting over North Graham Street, but potentially, yeah, there should be greenway. And if anybody's watching this 50 years from now, please acknowledge that we saw this opportunity. What a laugh. I mean, these things are probably not going to happen in my lifetime, but there is an opportunity here for greenway to come all the way into downtown Derita. And if you could negotiate this crossing at North Graham, it would be a very pleasant way for all these people to get into downtown Derita and have a coffee at that coffee shop that will also come. So, all right, guys, I can go on forever once we get on this Polaris site. So if nobody's got anything else, I'm going to finish up. Thank you so much for coming again, and we'll hopefully we'll plan a nice in-person type of event to celebrate the sign, the Derita sign, because and hopefully there'll be a lot more energy around being in Derita, because we kind of lost that. When you're on the ground in Derita, people don't necessarily know that they're in a place, or if they think they're in a place, they can't tell what it is. So
I think the new poles look great, and even enhances the flags when they get replaced. The new power
utility poles.
utility poles, yes.
Yeah, I haven't done too much. I was traveling for almost the whole of February, so I haven't had a chance to really drive around and see what changed in that time, but yeah, we do know that American Legion and their group of volunteers are working on the sign. I mean the flags too. So
You're welcome.
huh?
You're welcome.
Is that you?
Well, only partly me. Only partly me. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh well.
Yeah,
thank
Sylvia and a few other people and Jack.
Jack.
We worked on that on one Saturday morning. Yes. Or
Oh,
after
thank
that.
you. Yeah, thank you so much. I know it's we got to try to get some younger people in here.
Wait a minute. What are you trying to say?
I heard 60, so you know. But
Yeah,
yeah,
well,
60 is the new 20,
just
so
last
yes,
month.
All right, thanks folks for coming, and Mel, I'll definitely want to get with you, and we can make time to just go and walk around there.
Sure. Yeah.
We'll check that out.
Yeah, guys, let me know that too, if you would, please.
Yes, yeah, that would be great. We can have we could go meet at Maria's and fortify ourselves and then walk over there. Unless
Yeah.
that's not the best way to tackle it. We may be trespassing if we go in that direction. We'll have to start at your house, right?
It's a bit difficult. Probably be better just to meet at my house.
Okay. All right. All right. Well, anybody reach out to me if you want to also join in on that adventure, and we'll try to find a time to do that before the next meeting. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Teresa.
Thanks.
Yeah. Great job, Teresa.
Thank you, guys.